The Gospel of St. John, chapter 2, verses 13 to 22. Since the Passover of the Jews was near, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He found in the temple area those who sold oxen, sheep, and doves, as well as the money changers seated there. He made a whip out of cords and drove them out of the temple area with the sheep and oxen, and spilled the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And to those who sold doves, he said, "Take these out of here, and stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples recalled the words of Scripture, "Zeal for your house will consume me." At this the Jews answered and said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered and said to them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking about the temple of his body. Therefore, when he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they came to believe the Scripture and the word Jesus had spoken. There is a religion of selfishness. People who use religion for their own purposes, to ingratiate themselves. And that was the case with the religion of the time of Jesus. Many of the authorities used religion in order to ingratiate themselves. And, for example, people who would come from a long distance on a pilgrimage would be charged extra money for the sacrifices which they would offer, although they could buy those sacrifices, whether it be of a dove or some animal, down in the town much cheaper. They were charged more because they would not be kosher. They needed the stamp of the authorities. And so they had to pay more. The same with those who used money at the temple. It was not money that they brought from their own country, but it was temple money, a special money that they had to use. And so the money changers would charge them 24% for the exchange of money. So, for example, $1 would cost $1.24 because it was 24% that they charged to exchange money. So it was to ingratiate themselves and to make religion a source of making money. This, of course, angered Jesus, and he realized that the authorities were misusing religion. And this is why Jesus became angry. It was a just anger. God is love, but we also must remember that God is just. And so the misuse of religion for one's own selfish purposes angered Jesus to the extent that we have just read in the Gospel. One other point I would like to make is reverence for the sacred. The temple, our church, places of reverence, even though it might be of a different religion, yet there is a certain reverence, a sacred reverence, that we should show, a feeling or attitude of deep respect, tinged with awe, you might say. Veneration, the outward manifestation of this feeling to pay reverence, is so lacking in our world today. When we go into our churches, for example, before the Blessed Sacrament, what is our attitude? Do we realize I am in the presence of the Almighty? Reverence, a gesture indicative of deep respect and obeisance. And so this gospel is partly difficult to understand, but I think the bottom line is that we show reverence for the sacred. God bless you, and have a nice day.